Hi, welcome in the newest tutorial. Today we're gonna look into pouring resin on this beautiful piece. It's Paradise Geode, and I've created it for all of you who love the connection between holiday vibes and beautiful ocean style and beach look together with geode art. And it's something that is very close to my heart because I started working with resin on ocean styles, and I wanted to find a way with many trial and errors of creating a piece that is in a geode style, but when I'm looking at it, it's giving me all of those ocean vibes, holiday feelings, and laying on the beach in a paradise. So first thing that we need to remember is working with the right resin. So let's start there. Many of you asking me what kind of resin I'm using and what is very important when you work with resin on geode art. And I was working with many different brands, and I was having some of the favorites at the beginning, but as you saw me pouring in recent projects, I use a lot of Apex 1 coat resin. This is resin which is amazing, it's well behaved, as one of my students said, and it's really allowing you to keep it where you pour it. But at the same time, whenever you switch from working on small projects to bigger projects, you need to follow completely different rules. It's also for me different. I need to adjust different techniques and different rules and different even timing with the resin and the method I'm pouring when I work on small projects like coasters, lids on the container jars, beauty boxes, or even the kitchen board. If you work on small projects, like for example also the ornaments, you can, by the way, watch all of the tutorials that I mentioned in the channel, so check them later, but you follow completely different rules than when you pour a little bit bigger painting. This painting is actually 20 centimeter by 50 centimeter, which is 8 by 20 inches, and as I mentioned, it's completely different story. You actually need to follow different guidance, and working with resin, it's all about viscosity. So high viscosity and amazing UV protection is a must in a resin with that we want to use for the geode creation. But also you need to be very mindful about the pot life. Pot life is something that we actually have, is the time that we have to pour the resin before it's too hard. So this is something that you need to look into, and you need to adjust your pouring techniques to the pot life of your resin, right? So this is really crucial. We are going into the fall and a little bit colder nights and colder days, so being careful about the resin temperature and warming up if necessary. This is also a tip that I need to mention here, and this is also something that I probably will create a new video for you guys about my top advice, especially for top coating, because it's amazingly crucial to have a beautiful effect of your last layer of resin. But what I want to say is that during my many different paintings that I did in geode style and in ocean style, I discovered how to actually use the pigmentation and what kind of pigments to use and how to pour the resin, so you will not only see the shading effect, the ombre effect, but also very light and soft finish. Pigmenting the resin is something that it's not as easy as it sounds. It's something that you need to keep in mind and experiment if you want to try yourself, and just observe how everything is changing when you apply less or more pigment, how the final cured look is looking. And also what is really nice in resin is to create 3D effect, right? And you can actually create, when I was doing a lot of abstract art, I was working with multiple layers, and now I know how to achieve a 3D effect with just one layer when you do geode art, because we don't want to create multiple layers in geode art. The second coat is usually the final coat of the resin, so we need to make it work with just the resin, glitters, and the line work. And this is something that also I've tested and checked myself on many trial and errors, and this is something what I'm also teaching in this class. I'm actually removing the class of the Paradise Geode. It's a class that was up there for the time being of the holidays, of the vacation. I've created this painting just before summer, and I'm about to take out the class completely, take it down, because I want to replace it with the training about photographing resin art. And I'm only having with my current teachable plan, where I'm hosting all of my online courses. I'm having only 5 courses available to be active at the same time. That's why I decided to take it down. So if you're interested in learning a lot of tips about how to create geode art, and I will talk soon about for who is it good, to do, who will benefit from this course and what you are gonna learn in there. But this is the training that I'm gonna take off in a month, so it's gonna stay there only for another month, till the end of the October maximum, till Halloween, and then I'm taking it off completely and I'm replacing it with a new training. So if you are interested, make sure that you use the occasion for that. And I'm gonna put for you guys, because I'm really appreciating you so much for subscribing to my channel, for following my journey, for watching the tutorials and the videos. So I decided to leave in the description special 50% off coupon code. If you will fill in the coupon code, you will get 50% of this training, and this training is gonna be taken down at the end by the Halloween. So what the training, for who is the actually training? So as you can see me pouring, you can see already the druzy laying down on the canvas. So I'm walking you through all of the process of the artwork creation, from the start and the canvases, for all of the details about resin, all of the 101, right? So all of the details about resin, coloring resin, line work, everything that you know. So I think this training is perfect for someone who is a little bit intimidated and is gonna be the first artwork in geode style, or with druzy, especially with druzy, or with resin in general of this size. But if you work with resin for a little bit longer, but you never work too much with druzy and resin, or geode style and and druzy, this is something that you are gonna benefit for sure, because as you know, I'm using for this painting the DRUZY Goddess. It's DRUZY Goddess White Ambrosia. I'm showing you how to place the crystals, how you do the design, and how to achieve the beautiful coastal look that we are having here, because we have a specific and very unique placement of the druzy with some coastal design and some extra empty places, which we're gonna fill in with resin. And this is specifically to achieve very natural look from like a beach style, right? When you look at those very lean and long paradise islands, when you look at the Maldives, vibes like that, you will see this kind of diversification. And I wanted this painting to be very light. That's why I decided to skip on any kind of heavy gold metallic finish. It's all about creating a very light water look and very nice finishing touches with glitter, which is gonna resemble a little bit of the sand, right? But in more like luxurious way. So it's really, I'm having it on my knees while I'm talking to you guys right now on the voiceover, and I'm absolutely like amazed. This is one of my favorite paintings, and this is gonna be like next to my desk the whole winter. Whenever I will feel like I'm missing holidays and summer and the beach, I'm gonna look at it. So it's an amazing opportunity to create something like this for your interior as well. And I'm guiding you in how to actually pour resin with the DRUZY. So this is the trick, that it's something that you need to remember about. There are a couple of things, as I mentioned. Working with artwork in bigger sizes is different than working with small projects. The resin is behaving a little bit differently. There are a couple of different rules to follow, but if you want to know how to pour the resin properly around the DRUZY, if you want to know how to create a design with the DRUZY, and if you like the style of light and soft, like I'm really specializing in light and soft styles, so I'm all about it. I don't like heavy finish, right? So I skip on metallics altogether, because adding any line work in the middle of the water lines and in the middle of the even around the DRUZY, it will make it much more heavy. You can go ahead and even make it lighter by applying less glitter. So I'm sharing with you guys all of the specific pigments and how I'm mixing in the process, right? Each and every line, I'm sharing you the details how to work with it. But then the next step in all of the creation process is the line work. Many of you are having doubts about how to actually draw the lines around your artwork, around the design. And there are a couple of rules that you need to follow to create a 3D look. If you don't really focus on the 3D look, you can test and try them in different places. I usually do not recommend to use more than 2 colors of the resin pigments and more than 2 colors of the pens, right? So less is more, guys, and you can make it work, but by working very good with different shades and tones, and you don't have to have like 5 different shades of blue to make it work, right? It's all about keeping it interesting but also elegant, soft, and simple, and keeping the I've noticed, by the way, like adding crystals are pretty heavy. Any DRUZY, everything is already making the painting pretty like heavy. So working with the specific techniques of the resin pour and pigmentation and specific colors is really crucial to achieve the 3D effect and the light effect. And this is also something with the line work, because we're talking about the line work. It's very interesting to draw the lines on different resin pours or different resin lines, and to test and see for yourself. If you want to figure it out, I recommend you to draw it in different places and different colors, and just observe how the piece is changing with that, right? But if you feel frustrated with the process and you want to save a lot of time and learning curve, that all of us are going through something if we learn something from scratch, and then the class is definitely something that you want to consider, especially with the big 50% discount that I'm offering for my YouTube subscribers. So this is something to consider. And I'm using posca pens. I'm using pens that I already showed you on a couple of different projects. The pen is not like extremely crucial, because we usually, when we are using line work with acrylic pens, we are top coating the painting at the end of the process, and the top coat is gonna protect. So if it's acrylic pen and it's painting nicely, smoothly, I'm having a lot of posca pens, but I'm also having Geode Art pens. If it's painting nicely, smoothly, without any bulbs, gaps, without creating this like semi-transparent, not even look, it's good enough paint for this artwork. You don't have to worry too much about this. But remember, whenever you are doing detail work with any kind of acrylics, protection with top coat is very, very crucial. So I really recommend you to make sure to follow very good guidance on top coating. I'm gonna share soon a video on my tips in the next weeks about my best advice for top coating, because this stage is the most important. If any kind of dust particles got into your painting on the first stage of the artwork creation, it's still like a lot of yeah, you can, it's like forgivable, because you are gonna top coat it later. Sometimes it happens that you mix the resin not properly, or not, you know, not evenly, or even like the proportion of the resin were maybe off a little bit. I don't know, anything can happen, right, by mixing resin. So make sure always, guys, start from the scratch. If you are choosing any kind of different brands, or you are starting with resin first, make sure that you follow the guidance of your specific resin. I think many of you are mixing always by volume, 1 to 1, and sometimes you need to mix it by weight. So be careful about that, because it sometimes can be a surprise that it's not by volume, but by weight, right? And then it's so easy to get the proportion wrong, and the resin is not gonna cure. It's gonna stay like very, very soft. And it's also something that you can still fix by top coating it. So but top coat is the last element. If it happened that the top coat is not gonna be great, it's not gonna be deep enough, or maybe you will have some particles in it, then usually it's not deep enough, right? But if you have, or the level was not right, always, guys, if you work with fluid art, keeping the level, checking your levels is the most important thing here. So yeah, remember about that as well, but you can always top coat it another time. But with resin, all of those errors are very costly, right? Because when you test and try, and where there are some things that you forget to follow, or you just simply don't know, it's costing you a lot of the material. So yeah, if you feel a little bit intimidated by the size of the project, I really advise to start smaller. Start with 6 inches and go from there. But I also understand how exciting it is, you know, to create a little bit bigger painting, to have a little bit more freedom in the design, and also to match the space, right? So this is really crucial, especially if you plan to match the painting to your specific space in the house, or you are making for someone for commission or for friend as a gift. It's very important to always use the resin calculator and to check how much resin you are gonna need, because it's not gonna be small amount anymore. Resin calculator, I'm using like very universal art resin, I think calculator mostly, and I'm usually bumping it by 10% extra, because I want to have the freedom of what if I will pigment a little bit too much in a color that I not want to use anymore, and I'm missing a little bit of transparent resin to actually pigment it in a different color, right? I'm always giving myself a freedom at the end of the project to choose something like intuitively. I'm working a lot of intuitively on whatever is happening on the canvas, um, and not from like a pre-draw project. But yeah, specifically for the students, I'm explaining all of the steps and why I did what I did and why I made this decision, because it's also very important to know the thought process, right? It's not only about telling you, oh, I'm pouring white, I'm pouring blue, I'm pouring this, I'm pouring that. It's like, why? Why the heck you are pouring this color, and why the heck did you draw this line here? Because I don't understand. So in all of my classes, I'm doing my absolute best to actually share with you all of the decision process that is going in the background, to help you have enough knowledge to make the decision for yourself for whatever you are seeing on your own canvas. So I think this is definitely, you know, the experience and the time that you cannot just like easily go through without putting many hours and tests and material into work and checking it yourself. So yeah, let's also talk about the additional sprinkles. It's not a lot here because I wanted it to be more like sand look, right? But there are some elements with Lagoon Whisper. I actually put around the crystals, I put a little bit of the sprinkles of Lagoon Whisper, which is one of my original colors from DRUZY Goddess. And this is also my really top advice for you guys. A little bit more advanced tip that I actually started creating a little bit later in the process. Like I always didn't specifically like the gap between the druzy, the white druzy, or the glass and the colored crystals. I was missing the gradual soft tone down and something that is gonna make it a little bit more complete and with better flow. And that's why I actually developed the colored druzy, because I feel like adding the colored druzy that is matching closely the color palette with the crystals that you are working with, it's gonna completely transform all of the flow of the geode heart. So the heart of your geode artwork, right? Like I'm calling it nowadays. It's absolutely changing all of the dynamic, and it's looking much more natural. It's looking much more high-end, interesting. Everything, all of the composition starts to look like it belongs together. It's not like it's a lot of glass or white druzy and then out of the blue something is popping up and is like, this is the purple crystal or this is the blue crystal or whatever color you are working with, and it's just like happening to be there. No, when you blend it around the crystal and you make it gradually going down into the druzy with a little bit of those extra highlights from colored druzy, which by the way I'm having now in 18 different colors, including the white. So let's say with taking out the white and the black and the moon goddess and the black tie goddess, it's gonna be still 15 different shades. It's something that took my artwork to a completely new level. And this is also something that it's actually allowing you, as you saw in one of my tutorials, to create druzy just by itself in any color. So you can actually create clusters in any kind of, given color. But this is my personal tip for you guys. If you want to take your geode art to the next level, if you want to make your artwork stand out, make sure that your composition makes sense, that it's having a good flow, that the crystals and the stones and the druzy and all of the elements that you are putting in there are not there just like by accident, like throwing something on the canvas just because it's a pretty color without any design and any thought process behind it. So first work on the composition. Make sure that the composition is standing out, that it's blended together, that it's flowing nicely, and then move into the pour, right? And then follow all of the guidance when it comes to pouring. So I think this is the most important lesson that I can give you in this tutorial. I'm looking at the at what I'm doing. I'm still moving, and you can see I'm painting very often from the cups as well as from the sticks. I'm always connecting the lines together before I move forward because it's allowing me to have a better feel and better feel of the flow on the canvas. I'm always making a small gap and space, and I'm working with many lines. And as I mentioned before, and as you can see, here on the canvas, I am not using any heat guns, and I'm using torch only at the end. If it's already like a very advanced stage of resin pot life, so we are at the end of the pot life, and the resin is starting to get very jelly, it really doesn't matter, and you shouldn't be bothered about that. Torching it at the end is allowing the resin to stay longer and better in place. And if you torch it at the beginning, every time you heat up the resin is getting much more liquid and it's moving much faster. So all of the line work and the effort you put on the canvas is gonna disappear, or it's gonna start to blend together too much. So that's why we want to just briefly pop the bubbles, make sure that you don't burn the resin. Even if there will be a couple of micro bubbles that will pop up later, or I haven't had too much issues with this technique to have actually bubbles that haven't popped and they cured. Like I don't really recall any kind of the situation, maybe just a few, like 5 for the entire canvases, like micro bubbles, which you cannot even notice by looking at the painting, by the way. So don't be scared about that. Please only use heat gun when you work with top coat. I'm using both heat gun and the torch for the top coat. And here is the close-up. You can see the different shades of the water, turquoisey blue. Oh my god, this is giving me so much holiday vibes and beach vibes. There's very soft white, which is very ethereal and nice and flowy. So it's not too heavy, it's not sitting heavy, it's connected nicely with the blues, the turquoises. So it's still giving you a lot of the water lightness. The light is not perfect because it's inside, but I'm gonna show you, and at the beginning of the video you saw me showing you the painting in the full glory. So yeah, I think that's it. If you're interested, please make sure that you use the 50% discount, and I'm gonna put the link in the description so you can learn with me. And it doesn't matter if you are a beginner or you work already, you will learn a lot from these classes, and it's gonna be taken down soon and replaced with new class. So if you are into geode, beach vibes, holiday vibes, ocean vibes, I think this is the perfect class to take on and learn the style so you can create this kind of very light look. But also, even if you change the colors, you will learn how to create a very ethereal and delicate look as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see you here in the other tutorials, and I'm very grateful for you to stick with me till the end and watching. And if you consider it to be informative, please subscribe.